I've captained from under 13 onwards, all my school teams, and I guess when you are performing well and you are probably a bit better than the rest of your colleagues, it's a natural thing that a coach would give you the captaincy. I think as a leader, the important thing is, I feel, is that you observe things. Well, I think it's about man management for me, number one. Because the team will trust you more than a coach or anyone else. I could get the best out of the guys a different way, where I be their friend and then allow them to be leaders in their own right.
When you became captain, there were several senior players in that squad, and with senior players, obviously these are players that you've grown up watching, have admired for what they do, but then sometimes you have to make tough decisions regarding those senior players. Did you, in the first few instances that you had to do that in particular, find that hard to do?
I was a bit worried in a way that, when I had to make certain decisions, how I would do that. But end of the day, I realized I have to be honest to myself. I have to be honest to the team and to my country. If I think that's the decision that I have to make regarding certain players and the way they perform, it was my duty. That's why they've given me the leadership. Yeah. As a captain, you have to make those calls. And I went ahead and did that. I know some people don't like me for that, but I feel that, if they were in my shoes, and they've been captains as well before, and they would have done the same thing and they would have made similar kind of decisions. But when it comes to them personally, it doesn't come the right way. But I've never shied away from making those decisions, and I don't regret any of them.
Because one of the things that we remember is the 2007 World Cup, very successful campaign. You guys got to the final, but there was always this festering issue of leaving Marwan Atapattu out of the playing 11, and that created a lot of controversy, headlines at the time. Can you recall how those days went, and whether that has affected your relationship with them, having gone forward from those years?
Yeah, it was a eventful 6 months leading up to that, because Marwan was our captain. He should have been leading the team in the 2007 World Cup, but back injuries, him not being fit, was a reason why I took over the team for a short period of time. And then the selectors and the coach at that time was Tom Moody, who decided that I should lead the team to that World Cup. So leading to that World Cup, Marwan was in and out of the team purely because of injury. And at that time, Upul Taranga was a young cricketer that we invested, who was scoring plenty of runs. And he had a very good understanding with Sanat Jayasuriya, and they were both explosive, and they were winning matches for us. So then we realized it was a healthy option for us to have that kind of selection problem. And then we tried Marwan when he was healthy. We tried him in the middle order as well, which he wasn't doing that successfully. And we had a very good middle order in Dilshan, Russell Arnold, and Chalmers Silva, who was scoring lots of runs. So when we went to the Caribbean, Marwan was part of the team because we felt that we need the experience, whether he could open in the batting or bat in the middle. And the first warm-up, I still remember, it was in Barbados in the academy ground. We played New Zealand, and Upul got 100. And Marwan opened batting with Upul. Marwan got 20, Upul got 100, a very authoritative knock. And Tom and I sat after the game and I said, we need to make a decision now. And we haven't even started the World Cup, and there was about 10 days before our first game. But we had to make a clear decision rather than pondering on things and leaving speculation among the team. So that day itself, we had a chat with Marwan when we got back to the hotel, sat face to face, and we had a very honest conversation and explained to him why he wasn't going to start the World Cup as the opening batsman.
How did that conversation go?
Well, I think he did not take it in the right way. But for me, I felt that for us to make an impact in that tournament, Sanat and Upul was the best two openers to go with. So Tom and I had that conversation, and he didn't have to hear it from anyone else. And Upul knew that he was going to be our opening batsman for the World Cup. Marwan, knowing who Marwan is, I think he's a very honest player. He played really hard, but he didn't take it in the right spirit. So throughout the World Cup, his contribution wasn't very good as a member of the team. But we had a great campaign. No one gave us any opportunity. Everyone thought we'll probably go out of the group stages, but we topped the group, and then we went as the second best team in the Super 6 stages, and then went all the way to the finals, and had a great campaign. And when we got back, obviously Marwan played a few more test matches and he retired. He probably didn't speak to me for good 4 to 5 years after that. And then our first conversation probably was when he was appointed as a batting coach to the national team. And
yes, you had no choice but to resume conversations.
yeah, but I felt that I hadn't done anything wrong. So I remember that was another conversation that we had in England with the team management, and he was there as well. But he stood up for what he did, and he said he was sorry. He said he didn't take it in the right spirit, and for him not to speak to me for 4 years was something that he regret, and he apologized for that. And I thought, that was enough for me. And I've said, fine, bygones are bygones as long as you realize. But I told him that you shouldn't be talking to me just because you're the batting coach of the Sri Lankan team. And if you still have those reservations, I'm happy that you don't speak to me, because I was a bit of a strong nutcase at that time. But I think, we got along well after that, after working together. He was with the national team for good 5-6 years after that, and became the head coach of the team. So we had a very good relationship after that.
So I'm assuming all is good now, but this is the aspect of managing players who may be in and out of the squad. In Sri Lanka's case, there was one player who was always going to be in the team, and that was Muttiah Muralidharan. At his peak, the best bowler in the world, at your main weapon. Handling him as captain, did it present its own set of challenges? One, did he need to be treated like a star and the main kind of attack weapon in your team? And second, would he always get what he wanted, let's say in terms of fields, in terms of tactics, etc.?
Murali was a very simple man. If you know Murali, he's probably the first guy to take the newest player who comes into the team for a dinner. He did that with me when I joined the team, and he did that with the youngest guy who came when he was retiring. He still did that. So he was that kind of a guy. So he didn't have any issues with Murali. The more wickets he took, the more humble he was, and it was so easy to work with someone like Murali. Yes, he's a bit stubborn when he's bowling, and he wanted certain things done, and but that was something that we've always had constructive conversations.
That's carefully chosen word.
Yeah, in the sense he's got a very defensive mindset as a bowler. He wants to
so
take his time.
This is the most successful bowler in the history of the game, and you're telling us as his captain he has a defensive mindset.
In the sense that, a lot of teams knew that as well. Murali was a very defensive bowler, but the thing is they couldn't take him down because he had everything covered. But, I was a different captain. I wanted to attack with Murali more. And Murali only attacked when he felt he was in control of the situation, then he'll go all out on attack. But for me, it was different. I wanted to use him in a different way. I wanted to create opportunities for him rather than us sitting and waiting for opening to happen. So I think Arjuna probably had the same battles with Murali, because, Murali being Murali, he always liked, and Sanat as well. But with Arjuna, because Murali was young and he just coming through, he probably didn't have a choice with Arjuna. But with Sanat afterwards as well, it was quite tough for Sanat to tell Murali, let's be have a bit of attacking mindset. But that's something that I've always, encouraged Murali to do.
Has there been a passage of play that you can remember where he said something else, you said something else, and what you said came correct?
Well, I think there's one incident which happened. I wasn't even the captain. I was just a player at that time because Hashan was captain in 2003. I remember England towards Sri Lanka, and Marwan was the vice captain. And we played a draw in Gaul. And, we couldn't get the last 2 wickets of England. And that game was rain affected and lots of things happened. And then we moved to Kandy for the second test match. And England, we batted first, we got 300 and something, 350. England scored about 225. We had a bit of a lead, and then it was rain affected as well. And then on the fourth day we were batting. I remember Dilshan got some runs towards the end, 70 or something. So we had about 275, 300 run lead going into the last session. And during tea time, I think I was having a chat with Hashan, and I went to Hashan and said, it's Kandy. I'm not sure how the weather's going to be tomorrow. I think the wicket's slow, it's turning. We've got 275 now. I think it's more than enough because England's going to be very defensive. They want to save this test match as well in that situation. And I said we should be declaring after tea, straight away. And from wherever Murali's got ears, like elephants, but he just came rushing in, and he sat next to us, and he said, I know what you're saying to Hashan. You want to declare now, and you're not the one who's going to bowl. I'm the one who has to bowl. We need 350. We need 375 because, then the England batsmen know that they can't score runs. They're going to defend. I said, 275 is enough. They're still going to defend. They're not going to play shots. Yeah, but you don't know that, if you declare now, I'm not going to bowl, you can bowl. And he walked off. So now Hashan's, bit in the middle as a captain now. But he didn't declare because he was a bit worried what Murali's status was. So we batted for another hour and a bit more and got 375 and declared. We only had 5-6 overs we could bowl at the England batsman. The light went off. I remember Chaminda picking up a wicket. I think Trescott got out, and they were 1 for 12. And then the next day, England, we had 375. England scored 140 or 170 for the entire day. And we couldn't get their last wicket, and we drew the test match. They just blocked and blocked and blocked. I remember it was a huge incident about Nasser Hussain sending gloves and every ball, and it was very unlike English, the sportsmanship. But the match ended in a draw. And, after the match, Murali was in a corner, he wasn't saying much, and Hashan was really upset that as a captain he didn't make the early declaration.
Yes. On the advice of his young vice
Yeah, no, but
captain.
we had other guys who wanted
Yes.
as well to declare, but, he was a bit worried, and so Murali realized that at that point how effective he is.
Yeah.
And that we missed a trick. But luckily we went to Colombo and we beat England in the Colombo test match, and we won the series 1-0.
Did you let him know?
Yes, I did. I was that young, bit, arrogant guy in the dressing room as well. So I've told Murali, and I said, remember this, I told you so. So I think, Murali, being his old-fashioned way, he did that, and we managed to go and win the next test match, so everything was fine. But I think after that, Murali realized the potential he had. Even before that. But, we managed to get him out of that, very defensive mindset where he was, and and he became, one of the best bowlers after that. He played for another eight odd years after that.
You touched upon this, and we should just explore this a little more about the difficulties of being Sri Lankan captain, not just on the field, but all the stuff that goes on off the field with the administrative issues. That's also something, did you feel as captain that wore you down, that you didn't need any of that, and there was always an upper limit to how long you could stay in the job simply because of everything that was happening on the outside non-stop?
Yeah, I think it definitely wears you down. I think, the 3 or bit more years that I was the captain of Sri Lankan cricket, probably I didn't enjoy, probably half the time that I had the job. And people is asking me why I've left. It was too much for me to handle. If I'd continued to captain, I probably wouldn't have played that long. I would have probably retired much earlier. Because it was way too much. The administration, the things we have to do, go through, trying to get our contracts, trying to, get little things done, and trying to, select the best 11, because Sri Lanka is the only country who the sports minister selects the selectors, and Sri Lanka cricket doesn't have a say in that. So that the team is selected by the selectors, have to be signed off by the sports minister.
Yeah.
Until then, even though you sit and select a team, you're not sure until that signature is put on that piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's approved or not. So it's a very different situation or a system that we have. And the selectors are under the guidance of the sports minister. They are not directly under Sri Lankan cricket. So they don't have to explain anything to Sri Lankan cricket. But, it's something that I still don't understand. And I didn't understand as a captain as well. So I always had, issues with that, and something that I didn't enjoy. And why I left was that it bothered me, because I was taking work home, in the sense that, when I went home, I was still thinking about issues and scenarios that I have to deal with the next day or coming weeks, and it's something that I didn't enjoy doing. I enjoyed the cricket, the challenges I had on the field, and the group that I had was brilliant, but everything else wasn't something I enjoyed.
Final few things, and this was about dealing with failure. There was a phase when you guys were an excellent tournament team, got to lots of finals, 2007 under your captaincy, 2011, 2 World T20 finals as well. But all those finals ended in defeat. As a team and as a leader within that team, how does that play out? Is that an extremely difficult situation that scares you when the final comes on the horizon again?
Well, it was a hugely disappointing time when we lost all those finals. But we took every final and we realized the good things about it. That's why we've been consistent throughout for a long period of time. One thing was we had a very good group of players. What we're doing, the preparation, our practice, and our thinking processes were good. Our planning for our World Cups were good. The teams that we picked were good. So when you take all the positives, we knew that, we're doing right things. We're winning matches in big tournaments. We're keeping our nerves in crunch games. But that hurdle of, not winning that final was a huge problem for us. And we've spoken about it, like in forums, like a team and administration wise and coaching wise. We've wanted to find out why are we mentally not prepared for a final. Why are we making, because a couple of the finals was individual brilliances of 1 or 2 players of the opposition who took the game away from us. So when you consider that kind of thing, you can't control that. But there were a couple of finals where we probably made few mistakes in decision making or performance wise, and we couldn't execute our game plan, and we lost. So those are things we've spoken about. But at the same time, we always talk about all the good things we did throughout the tournament and preparing for the tournament. So we realized that a lot of the things, the processes were very good. Planning was very good. So we encourage ourselves to just keep that focus, and the next final we'll win, the next final we win. It didn't come until the 2014.
Was Angelo Matthews a project? And almost when you guys were finishing your, or you knew that the finish line was near, was he almost identified as the heir apparent, and you worked diligently, religiously on the idea of ensuring that Sri Lanka have a ready-made captain by the time you guys left?
Yes, I think that was our responsibility, and he was a Sri Lankan under-19 captain. But the important thing is that can you perform and at the same time be a good leader. And the way when you join the national team, and we straight away realized that he doesn't get flustered by situations as a batsman. Doesn't matter what situation that you put him through, he manages to find a way to come out of that, and most often on a winning note. So he had that capability, the mindset, a strong mind, as a guy who could handle situations. So that's a brilliant formula to have as a leader. So we felt that he was the guy, and we made sure that he was given more responsibility within the group, even as a young player. And Kumar made obviously when Kumar gave up his captaincy for pretty much the same reasons I did, we wanted Angelo to take over the captaincy because we felt he was ready at that time. But then obviously they gave it to Dilshan for a little while. It was something that didn't work administration-wise and various for other reasons. But then they wanted me to take over again.
Yes.
The only way I would take it is that they would give Angelo the captaincy once I finish. So that's what happened. And in 2012, end of 2012, Angelo took over as the national captain. And I think he's so far done a good job, very good job. Yes, with the players around him, it'll take a bit of time performance-wise to settle in. But I think as a unit, I think they're heading in the right direction.
So you never sit back on your bed watching a cricket match and that you're not participating in, obviously, and say, I would have done that, I would have done that.
That is the biggest problem I have watching cricket, because I'm very analytical in watching the game, and I don't enjoy it that much. So to be honest, I try and not watch cricket, and unless it's a very good game and there's some purpose to it, then I'll watch it, because if not, I'll watch other sports and I'll just flick through the channel to see what the scores are and go back again. Purely because I analyze it way too much, and I don't enjoy it as a neutral or a retired player.
Right, but you do enjoy playing your golf. You gave us so much pleasure in your playing days. Thank you so much, Mahela, for this conversation. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Most welcome.
I'm a really good friend with Wasim Bhai. Wasim Bhai has always been an elder brother. He has always supported and helped me on the field, off the field. Yeah, we had issues. He didn't only have issues with me, but we had the issues in the team those days.